We're gonna go to see one of the most special towns here in Australia. The town is called Griffith, and we're catching the bus from Adelaide. Let's go! Alright, so this morning we're going to be catching a bus from Adelaide to Griffith. It's going to be a 17-hour bus ride, 8 a.m. in the morning. Not sure what to expect. Let's just jump right into it. This is probably one of the most weirdest thing someone will do here in Australia, and that is to catch a bus to go from one town to another, let alone to another rural town. You're going to be on the road for quite a long time. This is an 18-hour ride from Adelaide to Griffith, and I kid you not, I got on this bus at 8 a.m. and I arrived at 2 a.m. in Griffith. Alright, so I just arrived in this super quiet town of Shepparton. Everything looks very, very modern here though. It was kind of crazy. And I'm here at a train station with one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen, and we're literally just waiting for the next bus to come down, which is going to leave from Shepparton to Griffith. So that's going to be another 3.5 hours of riding in the bus. This is something that I just wanted to do because you only live once and you're only going to do this once, but it was very, very unforgettable. But along the way, you're going to see basically Australia in its rawest form. The outback, the desert. You're going to stop at absolutely in the middle of nowhere places. These roadhouses, some of them are really, really nice actually. There's great internet, there's wonderful food as well. So that's going to be the experience that you're going to have if you get on these state liners. Now, this state liner, only $50. Very cheap, state-owned enterprises. These are the benefits. But let's talk about Griffith. One of the first places that we visited was Whitton Malt House. Now the story goes, Whitton Malt House, super rich people behind it. And they hit the model load. And with that, they just went to a place in the middle of nowhere and they decided to build this massive restaurant, and then everyone just got attracted to it. It is a beautiful restaurant. There's a lot of great food. It's famous for tasting whiskey. So you'll get a flight of whiskeys and you'll taste a whole bunch of whiskeys. And there's a piece of grain which you'll taste before you actually sip the whiskey.
Number 3, that has a bite.
And more.
You're done?
I'm done. Yeah, I don't enjoy that at all.
It feels like there's liquid, but there's no more liquid. It's
The whole restaurant getup is magnificent. The ceilings are super high. The getup is amazing. The store has a lot of goodies all around. And outside of the restaurant, you get a massive garden which they've decorated. There's a lake. There's some waterfalls that they created, and there's also little cabins that you can stay in, which gets some beautiful views of the lake itself. And of course, you'll get to enjoy the restaurant as well. It attracts so many people. You wouldn't think that you are in a country town because the place is literally bustling with so many people. And the amount of work that they put into making this place looking good and fresh, wow. The attention to detail was simply amazing. The staff was really friendly as well, and needless to say, it was one of my highlights. But be prepared to spend a good buck because this place is not cheap. But to get your money's worth, when you're out in that garden and the lake and the outdoor setting, make sure you take as many photos as you can. On another day in Griffith, we actually checked out Max & Co for some dessert and some drinks. Apparently that's a place that people go to, and it was pretty hip, very nice. And you don't want to miss a Bertoldo's. That's a cafe that has so many sweets, so many fun treats. If you're a bit of a sweet tooth, why wouldn't you go there? It is extremely famous. It's been owned by generations of people whose last name is Bertoldo's, I'm guessing. And it is absolutely amazing. The food and the sweet option was literally endless. And after that, we checked out La Piccola, a Gosseria, an Italian deli. It is a very, very traditional place. There, go get yourself some olives. Italian olives at its finest. And did I say Griffith is a very, very Italian town? Italians have settled in there, and of course they settle in there because it's a beautiful place. And there is a lot of amazing Italian influence there. You're gonna taste some beautiful, authentic Italian food. So you have to check out everything Italian in Griffith. Okay, limone. All right, one word, sourdough. It's amazing. Go have some. The olives and the sourdough will change your life. It is absolutely amazing. Their lunch menu and their dinner menu is different. We were there for both, but the lunch menu was just amazing. And that drink that I'm having right there, I think that's carbonated apple juice or something, and that was super yummy too. So if you go check out Limone, if you go to Griffith, you should not miss out on Limone. Go check out this restaurant. After that, we checked out the Wyangan Lake, we drove over, it was so beautiful, so you're gonna see some drone shots right there. And that place, as much as it is a lake, it's kind of like a zoo. There's different types of chicken, there's goats, there's all sorts of different animals there that you can look at through the cages. And that's what took up our time hanging out at Wyangan. It's a good walk around. If you want to have a picnic, definitely recommend you to do that. There's good patches of grass where you can just kick back and relax and take a good view out of the lake. But it is a very peaceful, serene and calm experience that you'll have. Another super awesome highlight was the Calabria Wines. This is the capital, boys and girls. And there, the entrance is just grandeur. The display is literally perfection in itself. And of course, we went to do some proper wine tasting. We were then escorted to a separate room where we were able to try a flight of wines. Now, a couple of these wines were actually from my hometown, Adelaide, which I thought was amazing, but most of the wines were actually from the region of it in itself. Now, what's really amazing is that each of this wine has a pairing. So they give you a platter of food. So you've got some cheese, you got some nuts, you got some pieces of fruit, which you can accompany with these wines. And they give you the pairing, and when you try them, it's like taste buds in your mouth give you a little high five because they're so happy. So Calabria wine tasting was a very, very special experience. And after that, I actually checked out different rooms within the actual Calabria winery itself. At the back, they have this display of barrels, and when you get in, like, it smells different. So you know that there is a lot of brewing going on, which is very interesting. If you go into the basement has a very, very interesting character. Apparently they run functions there too, which I thought was really interesting. But Calabria Wines had one of the best wine tasting experiences. Of course, if you go to Griffith, you're there to drink some wine. So highly recommend that you go check out Calabria Wines. Yes, it is famous for Durif, which I think has a bit drier taste as well. And overall, you're gonna have a lot of fun drinking wine. I know nothing about wine, and I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And you know, the ingredients that are on the platter, like all the little bits and pieces of food and fruit and nuts and cheese and all of that, it's literally a triple plus grade. Pretty much all of it is locally sourced, and Australian fresh produce is just beautiful. When you're actually going through the tasting itself, you have a representative of the Calabria Wines come in and explain to you how to do all the tasting as well. So even if you don't know anything about wine like myself, you're still going to find a way to properly enjoy this wine drinking experience. All right, change of gears. We're gonna go check out Altina. It is a beautiful zoo. It's about 40 minutes away, and before we actually get on the safari on the horse-ridden cart, we actually can walk around the walk-aroundable section of the zoo itself. And there, I did not expect to see this much diversity in the number of species that we had. I would have thought Australian zoos, especially the one in outback in countryside, will just only have Australian species, but it has species from all over the world, which I thought was very, very interesting. You get a good range of the crocs, you get some meerkats, and these little mini monkey things that rotate its head around, and I think they were super cute and adorable. It was so much fun. This is just what we're looking at until we get on the horse-ridden cart, which takes us around basically a safari all over the world. As you get pulled around in this cart, you get an explanation of where the animals come from, how those animals came to be in that zoo, and there are some crazy demonstrations of feeding these animals too, which I thought was really, really impressive. But the diversity of these species was not expected. But then if you think about it, Australian climate is very accommodating of many, many species of animals. You could literally have animals from Asia and Africa, and that's where all the animals reside. So basically it has so many options for you to see. Definitely one of the highlights was seeing a female lion get fed. Their roar was deep but very loud at the same time. It was really interesting. Apparently you can hear these roars from kilometers away. One of the best and must highlight is you need to check out the strawberry stall at Bunnings when you are in Griffith. The strawberries, you can buy them fresh, you can buy them frozen, and you can buy the strawberry ice cream, which is literally just strawberry and a bit of honey blended up in a popsicle. And it is one of the freshest thing you can ever eat. It's not too sweet or like it seems too fabricated. It just tastes really natural, and the person that serves it is such a nice man. So make sure you go and say hello, and if you're there, show him this video because I'm sure he'll love it. I had a bit of a chat with him and he was such a nice man. I actually went back to this store like 3 times, almost every day. The afternoon I had some time available. Every time I could find this person out there, we just went out there and we had a popsicle and we brought back a whole bunch of strawberries that we could just enjoy. And the strawberries here are just delectable. If you love wines, and if Calabria Wines didn't scratch the itch for wines that you have, when you came to Griffith, you need to check out Yarran Wines. It is a world-class experience. The vineyards are manicured to perfection, and the wine tasting experience, well, we were there. And I actually bought the whole wine tasting chamber out because I didn't want no interruptions. So we were the only ones there, and we tried a whole bunch of wines. And you know what? The platter, once again, world class. It is so fresh, it is so clean, and everything on that platter was delicious and of ultimate quality. It was extremely delicious, everything round and round. Once again, I don't really drink, I don't really enjoy drinking wine, but the experience was unforgettable, and the place was one of the most beautiful wineries I've ever seen. But needless to say, my sister and I had a lot of fun at Yarran Wines. And of course, make sure you take the chance to walk around the vineyard itself. You'll be able to take lots of photos, and on a nice day like when we were out there when it's not too hot, it's got to be a good way to walk off the booze in your blood. After that, we went to the Gem, which I think is a casino, and the next door to it is this dope restaurant, and there we ordered some steak and some meat platter as well as the Murray cod. I wasn't the biggest fan on the Murray cod, but the meat, whoa, was it good. And you know, and so when you're in Griffith, just pick a night, go check out their food and just treat yourself. It was a very tasty experience, but the food, again, not so cheap, so make sure you pack in your pockets before you rock out. The entree, the sourdough, the olives, as well as the main and the drinks was just absolutely perfect. There is just so much. We actually ordered way too much, and that's just our tendency. So when you do go check out this restaurant, make sure you go there with a bunch of people. So to knot off this trip in Griffith, we went to Hermit's Cave on a sunset. I love places like this where you can just go to a place and you can get a view of the entire place where you've been staying. And this place is simply wonderful. I mean, I went to Ayers Rock and Uluru previously, but when the sun hits the rocks in Australia, it just hits differently, and the colors are simply amazing. The sunset was beautiful and the place was amazing as well. My sister lived in this town for a few years because of her work, and it was such a wonderful way to say goodbye to the town and just to reminisce and ponder over the times that she had there, and of course when I was there, just the travel time that I had. And looking at the various spots in the town where we've been to, have spoken to people and formed really positive memories. So if you're in Griffith, make sure you go check out Hermit's Cave. Pick a nice clear evening so that you can enjoy the sunset as well as the beautiful air. Overall, Griffith is a wonderful town with hardworking people with rich history. If you come to Australia, a lot of places that people go to is like your Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and yes, they are amazing places as well, but make sure you add one interesting little town to the list. I would highly recommend Griffith. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And if you haven't done so, more importantly, go check out Griffith because it will leave you an unforgettable memory. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you in the next place I'll travel. Peace.